During the recess, I had opportunity to thinking the absolute worst. Now that they are seeing the 2nd to the 6th at liberty petitioner. I've heard Mr. Nimodi, I've heard you, Mr. Nimodi. From council is a proposal, not from Mr. Nimodi, from the rest. I'll begin 2nd and 3rd respondents in particular, the opportunity to take statements and to process. There can be no doubt. If the Inspector General of Police misses on that 3rd, I will convict and invite him for hearing. So I'll begin with perhaps Senior Counsel Kalonzo.
Thank you.
Question, my learned friend. We suggest that one day to take these witness statements, whatever statements, is good enough. And so that your orders are taken seriously. We urge that you consider these your 3 options for now, and so that busy. First of all, Senator Mtata, I gather, was going to have another session Thursday, tomorrow, yes, for demonstrations.
The mother of all them.
And therefore, the pressure continuing will produce a 7, the wrong person. And it is not that it's demeaning to make appearance a day before Mr. Kanja Osuni and the release. Indeed, indeed, my Lord, I must thank you for that. The gravity of this whole matter, and therefore I'm not going to talk about gangsterism, but I will so that the rule of law in this country will be seen to prevail. I thank you.
Therefore, we thank you, my Lord, for focusing on what is most important, to ensure that it is sufficient. I think that's what we have agreed with the rest of the petitioners present. Let them be able to, between anarchy in this country, arbitrariness, do not stand in accordance with the Constitution, then our country will fall into anarchy. And so, thank you.
Yes, in 1 minute, and I am glad that you have signed, or rather to take it back to petition the miscellaneous criminal application. Application that your brother had placed before you for purposes of determination, if it would be in order to just include Kevin on the Inspector General as well as the Director of Criminal Investigations.
Yes.
We have been serving
works.
Yes.
In my view, I do not find the statements recording, squaring out the proceedings before it. For one reason, my Lord, that the petitioners' affidavits, those that were able to secure your Lordship, the ordeals that they went through, who abducted them, and that's a process this court will be engaged in. That requires to put in supplementary affidavits to the affidavits from our clients' criminal justice system, which is completely as a separate proceedings, which are so unique in nature that we take to the stand, because examining those individuals we need to examine within the limits of individuals for cross-examination. One of the individuals that I'm inviting is will be relevant in assisting the court to go to the depth of this matter. Number 2, your Lordship, is Mr. from government
Sorry, I know the court gave directions, but please guide us. On the side of the rest investigator who was brought by Mr. Nyamoti in the court, who will tell us the least amount of times, because beyond recorded may give leads which the police may want to follow. Those leads cannot be followed in one day. So we pray that on the part of the audience, release, which the petitioners have chosen to call production. I will not say so much, but I want to share with you a decision of the Supreme Court of this country. The state of Mwangi Stephen Muriji and the Abu Joan Mohammed SC suing as the executrix of the estate of Honorable Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, and was never fashioned to grant leave beyond release of a person from unlawful custody. The grant or denial of the leave does not deprive an. The matter ends, which I accept. To the question of the seventh petitioner, I urge you to agree with me and thank you.
I hold somebody for 2 years, a year. That's the reason as to why 2010, the Constitution of Kenya made it very clear that if anybody's held means of a charge sheet or a miscellaneous application for custodial case,
Yes.
it extends to look for violations of my good brother, which has put it very clearly, moves to investigations. My Lord, number 2, look at the constellation of the officers before you, starting from the Inspector General of Police. Deals with intelligence becomes a subject matter on abductions. My Lord, I urge you to look at the scope, show that the DCI has a person who has not, that it is not released from police custody. None or anybody has produced evidence that they were released from a police station. They are here. In this we are in the dark, my Lord. We urge that be a concern for every Kenyan. Not only the police. Is that somebody missing, already dead? Is that somebody missing in the hands of government agencies? That will take time. And that's why I agree with my brother, Mr. Nyamodi, that 14 days will be sufficient to bring to you a status report that the court can make a decision on.
Yes, my Lord. Your Lordship, of the seventh rescue. Perhaps I have listened and Lord, everybody seated at this bar, undermining the authority of this court and the orders that you issue. Perhaps for for 2 days. Compliance with order number 3, that is the appearance of the inspector, bearing in mind that my lords, they are expired orders that have been issued by this honorable court. And for example, application of order number 3, that if the court maintains that it is Mr. Nyamodi is asking for, we hear the notice of motion application. So that, and my lord, bearing in mind that the enforcement of rights is under Article 25 of the 7th respondent, and we have filed a reply to that application, my lord. If you allow, can you answer that application so that we are going to renew a ruling, because this is a court of record, so that within the requisite number of days we give findings based on the aspects that will be responded to. Therefore, to me, to my mind, I believe, without to underscore the importance of the matter before you, we still have the other miscellaneous application number 216.
Yes.
Where if, for example, orders of at least the respondent to look at the material that have been placed before and make an informed decision as either to the continuous appearance of. And I say that, my lord, with tremendous respect, because under Article 245 of the Constitution, the by the first interested party, the second interested party, in terms of enforced disappearance. Inspector General of Police, by the affidavit that have been filed, that they are. What I foresee, my lord, is that given especially if at all what is alleged that the state actors are holding this person, the first respondent under section 6 of, and the dispute ultimately will come to the judiciary for determination. My plea, my lord, that we hear their notice of motion application to
Tata?
Yes, my lord. Yes, my lord.
Yes.
Before I answer the question of time, it's people, their rights, freedoms, property, other national interests. So, my lord, I would request that when you talk about the application for the release of this raid, that article to the end, and also look at Article 2. Who are listed there. So the application by the is calling upon the duty bearers to perform their functions. And so the internal threat, police who are listed as the security organs, the NIS, and even the military, ends the way I've not had a law for me is Article 23. Where applications for enforcement of rights, where the court doesn't given the power to, the power of the court has been given under Article 23. The other thing, the power of the court is, first of all, it will be a bit difficult to say that it's another problem. That these people don't deserve any time. It's not acceptable that the number 7 should be a day when it's not known where he is, and people are asking for time to investigate when the person on 24th. Because one of the people was abducted after leaving my office. I made a report about Quebec. Petitioner is not here. And the Inspector General of Police comes in person. Law enforcement. And then if you tell us why he cannot deal with that internal threat, that he answers under the first.
Go Mr. Shell, Mr. Wanjiru, then
so that you can proceed effectively.
thank you. So very briefly, so one at a time, it's a simple question.
And then the speaker to us so that we close this side. Now we associate to Mr. Lemodi for a minimum of 14 days for practical and procedural reasons. The first respondent to investigate and at least have a progress report on that position that received only 1 day. Secondly, my lord, we would like to, for procedural propriety, flows from order number 1. Order number 1 presupposes it has now been established, and my lord cannot ignore this fact, that indeed,
They just say the days, you can give a very brief 30-second justification.
In accordance with the court's order, they were held for more days. The request to come back 14 days later is to every second in custody is an additional segment. It's a continuing violation of the right to be brought before a court of law by the court of these Kenyan citizens. Thank you, my lord.
Thank you. Mr. Kamau?
Just 1 minute. When the IG would be appearing in person, that is what the court angles. There have been no offer, none at all. Well, what we'd like to do is first to agree with the...
Karua.
Thank you, my lord. I agree. Order to appear before you must appear. And I argue that they don't need more time. And the seventh petitioner needs also to be set at liberty.
It's not only the question of time, but the directions you gave earlier that you be supplied with the documents that look like registration certificates. They do not look like documents that are and lastly, Your Lordship, perhaps the Director General should appear equally in person.
Chief Interested Party, my name is Mbani.
Yes.
On the issue of we suggest one day I agree with my seniors. For reasons being, Article 25, we adjourn the longer he's in jeopardy. And that is a direct infringement on his right in terms of delegation of the interrogated in terms of the victims. So Your Honor will be paying for 1 day maximum.
Stamped its authority, perhaps a move that led to his reproduction. No, my Lord, on the 6th day of January 2025, when my client was presented at 2 p.m. at Ngong Police Station. For that reason, I would wish to fully associate myself with the submissions made by my seniors at the bar. Yes. Still cries out loud for the court to help in the reproduction or the production of the 7th petition.
My Lord, may I just have 30 seconds running here on Friday for two simple reasons. The statements and the respondents have admitted that they have been going on with the investigations. So there is no need for keeping the email. My Lord, that is a right that cannot be limited in any manner whatsoever.
My Lord, if I may.
Yes.
I have not spoken for the first interested party.
Yes.
I think we associate ourselves fully with this.
Not obscure. The central question before the Apex Court was whether if you apply for habeas corpus, you cannot thereafter apply mystic but in computation. The 2nd to 6th petitioner applicant. I understand that we're all eager for an expedited hearing process. I've heard persons say that they think we can record statements this week. And Council Njiru mentioned supplementary affidavits. That's the other concern. This court must give sufficient time for the petitioner persons to too much time. It cannot be that because the 2nd to why the IG is important. I believe it was Council, I think it was Njiru last time, the 2nd and 3rd respondents have done. But also it has nothing more important, Mr. Nyamodi, than dealing with what is perhaps the time you will need to draft supplementary for the country, but to assist the 3rd respondent to coalesce all these statements. Perhaps we should try to make it easier. The rooms and also discuss Yes.
Yeah, proposing 7 days.
Now, after and 2nd interested parties at a bare minimum, and perhaps the other interested parties would also want to, and 1st interested parties, and perhaps the 5th and 8th interested parties. Is that in order? Yes.
Because with that with regards to the current interested party.
Make those directions on joinder in chambers after this. I may join, I may not join. But there will be a contact person.
Will not be a mere process of statement. And my Lord, I will renew the request that yes, ma'am.
So the earliest we'll be able to come back is 23 days.
Yes, ma'am. If that is the amount of time they believe they need, then we let them be entitled to that. And we ask. No, it's okay.
7 days to close the business 15. The other 7 days will then take us to the 22nd. Propose the date. Council Mango.
If your Lordship it's convenient.
So my Friday 24th is full. Physical or virtual?
Physical.
So the earlier we start, the better. 9:30. I will give you a Mendia could then give you a mention before me on the 24th, but I strongly suggest that you don't create a situation. And if on that...
just to request the court to bear in mind that should it be convinced to admit us that we
I will not comment on the application.
My Lord.
Yes.
Will we be heard in opposition to council?
I don't want us to lose that here because for a matter of habeas corpus, I will not, I'll not give directions on the applications today. Today's Wednesday.
being the respondents. We are convinced and we have agreed that the application raised is very massive. But unfortunately, we were not able to get to a settlement tonight.
The joint, what I can assure you is, if I am convinced, I will join, but I will structure it in a way that we have a determination of those applications without starting the application shall file and serve 2025. The respondents shall have leave to file and 22nd January 2025 to the 8th respondent affidavit Council Mango, we shall coordinate with petitioners, applicants. I am optimistic. Any of the respondents forwarded to the petitioner applicants. M, to confirm availability of a mention before this judge, exceptional, four exceptional circumstances. Completely beyond case management. Hearing of the attendance of the Inspector General of Police in person, officer, the same shall be, and for the avoidance doubt, ceased and informed of the matters previous directions. Person in the alternative. Corporate. At 9:30 a.m. time we should proceed. Because I do expect council to build consensus so that we're not having long drawn out arguments. So for example, if Sunday Courier is
online just to follow the proceedings, because some of us are going to be in the Karua and all, so you can just follow the proceedings but without any comments.
I thought I covered that.
Yes. We will be requiring video assistance on that day. Yes,
to that formal mention. If you have same shall be, and for the avoidance, doubt, ceased and informed of the matters, previous directions, person in the alternative, corporate. At 9:30 a.m. time we should proceed. Because I do expect council to build consensus so that we're not having long drawn out arguments. So for example, if Sunday Courier is
online just to follow the proceedings, because some of us are going to be in the Karua and all, so you can just follow the proceedings but without any comments.
I thought I covered that.
Yes. We will be requiring video assistance on that day. Yes,
to that formal mention. If you have to the 8th respondent, affidavit, Council Mango, we shall coordinate with petitioners, applicants. I am optimistic any of the respondents forwarded to the petitioner applicants. And to confirm availability of a mention before this judge, exceptional, four exceptional circumstances. Completely beyond case management.
Secondly,
yes,
I would request the court to reject the invitation by Mr. Nyamodi that Kenya is a failed state. Kenya is not a failed state where we have...
Mr. Mutata is putting words into my mouth. So if he wants to attribute words to me, he should be careful to repeat exactly what I said. It is his interpretation of what I said, let him be clear that that is what he means.
Well, when Mr. Nyamodi said that the police do not know who was holding these people, then he's inviting us to operate within a very narrow space. Between the private and the public, a space where machineries operate. And that space only exists in failed states. That's why I'm saying that to request to try and persuade this court that there's a mercenary formation that's abducting Kenyans is tantamount to claiming that Kenya is a failed state, which I reject. And I say there's no mercenary operating in this country. It's the security forces abducting Kenyans. Otherwise, the state should demonstrate the existence of a machinery formation in a very narrow space between the private and the public, where non-state actors may operate in a failed state. That's all, my lord.
Thank you. So it is just a moment.
I just want to point out that the one is in court and sister will be settled. Just for purposes of the inquisitorial aspect of the court's jurisdiction, that the father really wanted the fourth applicant petition and Stacy to be poor, sister of Steve Kavino. Stacy to be sister of Steve Kavino and really want his father. I court. Last time the court directed that it has investigatorial as well as inquisitorial jurisdiction on the application. So purposes of the record, they may say a while.
Good morning. So I'd just like to begin by asking you to confirm that your son is with you at home or here.
I want to confirm the law that Billy Wanyere Mangi is home and he was released on Monday. He came in the morning at 8 a.m. and he's home as we talk.
Thank you. Any other family members?
My name is Stacy Mutua, sister to Steve Missy Kavino, who is still missing.
He's still missing?
Yes.
You can take your seat for a moment. Councilor Nimodi? Yes, very kind. Just a moment. Just a moment. I want us to deal with preliminary issues first. Mr. Nimodi, it's 11:43. We are going to adjourn until, let's say, 12:10. We will seek instructions. We will find out where the Inspector General of Police is, and if it is possible for him to be here today. I will then listen to your information, your appraisal of the court, and I will then make an order.
I am guided accordingly. I will take instructions.
Yes.
But perhaps, my lord, as I take my seat, so that the conversation taking place this morning is not just between the clients I represent and the petitioners and the interested parties who support their petition.
Yes.
I request perhaps that the court hears from my learned colleagues who represent the other substantive respondents on their proposals. That's what we do.
We'll do that at 12:10. So I'll also hear from all of the council. Let me put my cards squarely on the table. I have, this is the second hearing. So this would be the second hearing the IG has missed. It's an order that can be issued by this court. So as a preliminary point, let us find out where it is, whether it's possible for him to appear, and then we take it from there. So we will take a short recess. We'll be back.
Look, see the link that you can have the agency's report so that when you come back, we also know what to see.
Chuma seems to know. There's very useful information on who is abducting who. Kenyans can abduct themselves. The abductors. Mani Chungwa seems to know. There's very useful information on who is abducting who. Kenyans can abduct themselves. He also should come and give evidence on how these people. 2025 is going to be a year like no other. We will make appearance as often as. So we had very strange representations by Council Nyamodi for Inspector General saying national security. Now we will not clear any of that going forward. So, wanted to assure not in the rule of law. This country. We'll call them out and we say, this is all Mr. William Ruto is doing. He himself admitted in Homa Bay. So we will stop the abductions.
When I spoke to Mr. Kavuli, who is present, so the question you wish to put to the I and to Mr. William Ruto is how many people allowed by law to be in possession of hard caps? It's only the, and that's why we are saying this matter will not rest until such a time the IG will come and tell us.
Please note that this maximum pressure is what has earned the liberty of arraigned here. Of course, they did not even have any charges to prefer. And the fact that they knew that today, if they do not produce, want Mr. Kanja to go in history as somebody who was honest with himself and with his office. In fact, if it gets to that, there's any conscience, men and women in public service, because what Kenyans are demanding, Kenyans will believe that story, that it is. That is what it is, Kenyans, because we must be a country that believes in itself.
Thank you. Maybe just to add to what His Excellency has said, first of all to thank you, the media, for, if it wasn't for you and particularly the father of Billy Mwangi, who turned up here on the third, were able to show the whole nation and other nations what is happening in our country. So we owe it to you for revealing the pain of the all have been released. When we were here also, we were coming because our friend Senator Mtata, and he's here, he will also say a word, called for the release of the abductees have been released, and some of the abductees have been released, but those who have not been released, as you have been seen, is above the law in this country. Not him, not even William Ruto is above the law. And just like the former IG Masengeli came to this court, including Steve and Kevin. So that is all we want to say. But also for those who are wafanyikazi, Francis Atwoli, Honorable Aluke, and all those national issue, and it's a matter of international concern as well. It's in Manimo in Uganda, and thank God our sister Martha Karua has come home safe. Did he abduct himself and take himself to Uganda? What I would thank the Mount Kenya Jews through Wakili Ndegwa.